What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of At Home with Mark. Today is season 10, lucky episode 13. And fellas from the niche are here. Guys, welcome.
Thanks for having us.
And I know you guys are just fresh off from playing some tunes and doing a little mini tour. So we're going to get into all that stuff. And I'm very curious, obviously, about all your stories and how the band formed and everything. I'm gonna talk about that stuff because I think I missed that part. I mean, Rob talked a little about your band when he was on, just in terms of like sitting in and getting to know you guys. So we'll get in a little bit there. But I always ask everybody this, and Jay and Rob, you can sit this out if you want, or you can kind of give another memory. But for Todd and Will, what are your earliest like musical memories? Todd, if you want to kick us off here.
Whew. My first musical memories regarding this band?
No, in general.
Oh, period. Wow. So my first musical memories would go way back to when I was a kid. And my father was from West Virginia, and he loved old school country, you know, Waylon and Merle and everything like that. And I could always remember listening to records with him. And that was when I first realized how much I actually loved music. That's probably my earliest memory.
Okay. How about you, Will?
So I come from a big Irish family. Everybody plays music. So my dad was who got me started, you know, just the piano around the house, just showing me songs when I'm, you know, as early as I can remember. Always encouraged, you know, original music. Like he wrote a lot of his own songs, like just instrumental compositions. He was kind of into like some prog, Emerson, Lake and Palmer and stuff like that. And he'd write these crazy instrumental compositions, and I'd just be like a little twerp, like sitting there watching them and like, show me how to do that. And, you know, that's kind of how I got started, just picking it out, just kind of organically.
Okay. So it's always been keys your whole life.
Well, it started off piano, but then, you know, when I was like 11, 12 years old and started to think about girls and stuff, I was like, guitar seems like the way to go. I mean, you know, piano's going to do me no good there. So I started on the guitar, actually 11 years old, bought a guitar, started playing a little bit, found some guys to play with. And I feel like this is like the bass player villain origin story for a lot of bass players. There was like 4 guitar players trying to start a band, and we're like, well, one of us has to play the bass. So
right.
So I volunteered and got really into the bass, bought a bass, and like by 12, 13 years old, I joined like a little classic rock band in town, was, you know, playing out at bars when I was like, the bass was taller than me. And so like guitar and bass for the earlier, you know, preteen into early teen years. And then it wasn't until later I came back to the piano, because I guess it was another instrument nobody in the band played. And I was like, well, I got to do that now.
Right. What about you, Todd? Have you always stuck with that instrument, or have you bounced around a little bit?
My first instrument actually was drums when I was, I think, 9.
Okay.
But, you know, the noise of practicing kind of drove my parents to buy me a guitar. So I went to guitar and I played that for a while. And then when I started playing music with Willie, kind of the same thing. You know, we needed a bass player, and that became me. I went and played bass.
There you go. Rob, did you ever do a stint on bass ever? Or have you ever played a gig on bass?
All I got is guitar, man.
Dude,
I mean, I can obviously, like, if you can play guitar, you know your way around the fretboard of a bass, but I have zero like appropriate bass technique or tone, you know.
Right. Yeah. That's funny, man. It's when I was still at Berkeley, when both of us were still there living in Boston, my boss, when I worked in the student scholarship office, he had a GB band, and he was like, hey, do you want to start doing some gigs with us? And I was like, sure, for some extra bread. And then one night the bass player couldn't be there, and they had 2 guitars. So I was like, I could bring my bass and play bass just to fill the low end out.
Uh-huh.
And I did that. And then the next week the guy was like, I heard you trying to take my gig. And I was like, well, dude, it's way easier. There's 2 less strings. And he was like, you bastard. But like, it's that whole thing, man. But there's some bass players, like, you know, Brian Ewald, the PRS.
Yeah, I don't know him personally, but I know who you're talking about.
So he's a good friend of mine, and he's producing a track of mine. And I was like, why don't you play bass on this? Because he's like a killing bass player.
Huh.
And so like the last time when I went in to do my vocal and we were listening back, there's a couple lines that just make me laugh so hard because they're so hip. And he was like, only a guitar player would think to do this in this moment because it's so notey. And I was like, man, so true. Jay, tell me, I want to know what your earliest memory is of these guys.
I met these guys. I was 19. So in 1999, I was playing with my band Planet One in our warehouse space in Rochester. And it was my first, I'd been in some garage bands and stuff, but it was in my first real, all right, we're going to try to get some gigs. We're going to have a practice space, type of thing. And it was a lot of fun. And we're playing one night, and it's a metal heavy environment, through the walls, just pounding metal. And the metal would stop and you could hear what sounded to me like kind of fishy, jam bandy, something that was catching my ear more than everything else that was around. And went to investigate, found these guys in there with a drum set in the corner that belonged to Todd, fully set up and no drummer. And I walked in the room and I sat down, and that was it.
Man, okay.
I mean, really almost exactly like that, it was very serendipitous.
Okay. So was it like fast friendship immediately that you guys were like, let's do something together?
For sure. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's an interesting.
I mean, it clicked. I feel like it clicked immediately. And, luckily the other band was already on its way out. The guitar player was moving away out of state, and everybody was kind of about to start going their own ways. And I mean, maybe these guys will be like, oh, no way, it didn't click. But to me, it felt like it clicked right away,
Yeah, that's amazing. So Rob, my question to you would be, when is the first time you saw these guys play?
They were playing at the community college that Willie and I were both going to, Monroe Community College. I don't know if Jay and Todd, did you go there for any point of time?
I did.
Okay. It must have been before I got there. But yeah, so I think I was maybe done with classes for the day, but I had to wait for my mom to come pick me up for a few hours until she got out of work. And I was they were playing in this, I mean, what it looks like in my head and my memory might be totally different than what actually happened. But I remember I was kind of standing by the building, and way off in this long sort of grassy field, I could see the stage and I could hear them playing, but I couldn't see them. And I specifically remember the song they were playing was a song called Emotional Debris.
Mm.
And Eric, the guitar player, just started ripping it up. And I was like, whoa, I got to go closer. This is exactly the kind of music I like. And I remember trying to guess what kind of guitar he played because I couldn't see it. And I was like, I bet it's a Gibson. Because I was like, it's either a Fender or Gibson. And what else is there? And I walked up closer and closer, and then I saw it was a Paul Reed Smith, but that it had F holes, and I was like, "What?" Because at the time, 2004, I associated Paul Reed Smiths with new metal.
Mm.
And so I got up there, and I hadn't heard of Jimmy Herring or anything yet. Who he used one, but I didn't even know who he was. I got up there and he's in a PRS, and I was like, "Huh, that sounds amazing," And then I watched the rest of their set, and I was just blown away at the sense of humor of everything. And Willie was I could be imagining this part, but I think at one point you turned around with your back to your keyboards and played them like this.
Highly possible.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And you broke a key on one of your keyboards.
with a stapler, likely.
Yeah, and I never heard like a real keyboard player before. That was like this sort of like great white buffalo in Rochester to me. Like I didn't know any in high school. I'd be like, man, wouldn't that just be the coolest to find somebody who could actually like play keys and improvise and stuff, you know? And
What
there
was
it
your rig,
you know?
Willie? Like at the time, what was your rig?
I used a MIDI controller, just kind of like a regular deck, and I ran it through this. Actually, I have it right here. It's an old Roland JV 1010 module.
Oh man, it's cursed.
I don't use it anymore
For good
because
reason.
it's very old, and I know it's cool. It's got tons of sounds in it. It's got like thousands of sounds, and you know, I had just learned it. This was before. Okay, nowadays, like anyone who does any home recording or anything knows that you can just get on your computer and pull up millions of sounds, anything you could ever want. Back then, early 2000s, we hadn't got there yet. And I was always like trying to find a keyboard that had all the sounds I wanted. And then I found out about MIDI and that you could just plug your keyboard into this and then trigger tons of sounds from that. So I thought it was like the coolest, most high-tech, advanced thing in the world.
Was that the thing that made like the bird sounds and stuff back in the day?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And helicopter noises.
Yeah.
Now that's Jay's job. I've retired it, and now Jay has a MIDI pad from the drums and makes the bird and helicopter noises.
It's probably the same sample from 2002.
Probably.
Well, judging by your reaction when he picked that up, Jay, have you fixed that thing before?
No, but I don't. We've got a lot of long-standing jokes about that thing, and just like we've got some history of electrical like issues, and that thing we'd be set up and sound checked and everything would be perfect, and then like sit down to play the first note and it's just like screaming in like a weird dissonant tone. Like, what is happening?
Yeah, Jay, just call it what it is. It's a curse. It's a true. We have a technology curse.
Yeah.
And I'm not a superstitious guy. You know, I don't. There's a lot of things I don't believe in supernatural wise, but it's happened too many times to be a coincidence. It happens over and over again. And we were even laughing about it with Rob at the last rehearsal, like that we had at Todd's house. We were like, be prepared. There's this curse. Every time we play a gig, some weird technology stuff happens. And then lo and behold, we played our first night.
We thought it was over. We thought the curse was done.
Oh, man.
The curse was gone. We get maybe halfway into the first set, and all of a sudden Todd's bass amp explodes. Like
the full magic smoke.
There's smoke and fire coming from his bass amp. And I mean, I wasn't the least bit surprised. I was like, this is how we know we're back, you know.
Oh man. So what did you do, Todd? Did you just run direct? Like what happened?
Yeah, I went direct. They actually put the sound guy, Zach, was amazing. He ran up quickly. You know, I had a backup head in the car, and I was like, I can go get that. But he fed me the DI. We got a signal, and we were up and running within a minute, I think. And he was a great job. But you could smell it almost smelled like burnt rubber all around the room. And everybody's like, you can see people doing this, and I'm going, oh, it's bad. The curse is real. It's real, you know.
It's real.
Oh man. And here we thought you were going to be the 2004 Red Sox. You're going to break it. But no dice, buddy. No dice.
Nope.
No dice.
Oh man. Well, so we learned a little bit about the origins of the band, how it started and everything, how you guys got rolling. I'm very curious though, for you guys, I mean, have you, since you've been around for a minute, right? So like, you know, when I think back to when I started getting into this music, it was the mid 90s. And only because I had an older brother. Otherwise, I never would have known about Fish or the Dead or anything like that. But I have noticed that the jam scene has changed tremendously over that period of time. Like, I feel like early on, there wasn't as many bands, but I feel like there was more resistance to people wanting to listen to other bands other than just Fish, like the Blinders kind of thing. What have you guys seen, like, as far as the trajectory of the jam scene and your involvement in it since you've been doing it?
Well, I think there's two different questions, because there's how the jam scene has changed, and then there's how it pertains to us, our involvement. Um, I definitely know what you mean, how it's changed. I do think, you know, when we started, beginning of the 2000s, it was very Fish influenced, very Grateful Dead influenced. I also felt like there was a lot of like harder edge fusion bands like Schleho and Ulu and
Yeah.
that
This
kind of
is like
thing.
Mark, this is like word for word, like what I was on. I went to Willie. I went to that same. I was like Ulu Schleho. There was this like instrumental hard fusion thing happening, like that was really awesome and really magical. But sorry, Willie, I didn't mean to
Yeah. Well,
interrupt
no,
you.
that's. I mean, we're obviously on the same wavelength. And then I feel like Frank Zappa is kind of what ties those two together. You know, like wild improv of like Fish and Dead, and then like the hard edge fusion and composition. And so, Zappa was a big influence on us. But as far as the scene now, I feel like you don't see a lot of that anymore. It's very groove based. It's very, you know, heavy on the dance beat. Like everything has a strong dance beat, four on the floor, whatever you want to call it, techno disco, kind of what Disco Biscuits maybe started, bands like that. There's a lot of that, and I feel like not as much like adventurous composition, adventurous improv. I mean, I'm not trying to knock anything. There's a lot of great stuff out there, but it seems all kind of based on the dance beat, which is, and that's something where sometimes we sort of feel like, are we outdated? Are we not doing enough dance music?
Freaking
So
dad rock. Yeah.
yeah, we're the dad rock jam band.
Yeah. What about you, Todd? What have you noticed?
I'm going to agree with Willie. I feel like it is a lot of that danceable beats. I feel like there's not as many bands that kind of take chances, if that's the right wording. I feel like the fear of train wrecking and not being able to recover, that can kind of hinder these bands from really, really trying to go, really, really chaotic and then resolve and have it kind of break through. I feel like that really isn't what it used to be. I think of early like 91 to like 93 Fish, when they really, really pushed that envelope and really went hard in that
Reckless.
exploratory. They didn't worry about the consequences. They just went for it. And if when it went bad, it was really bad. But when it went good, it was excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there's not a ton of bands that really try to push it like that. And it could be because I don't listen, like to a ton of the new bands. I try to, but time's something I don't have a lot of. I try, but for the most part, that's what I feel. I feel like nobody's really trying to take those kind of chances,
Okay. Jay?
It's a great point. I haven't thought about it in those terms, but I mean, we go out every night expecting to train wreck, and it doesn't bother us at all. It's like, oh, who cares? Like, it's gonna happen. It's all about if you can stick the landing, it's like,
Right.
You stumble a little bit, but I mean, one thing that I have noticed a lot in the last maybe 2 or 3 years is there's a big push to get what would have previously been known strictly as indie rock. There's a huge push for jam adjacency, which I find really interesting. And like, whether these bands want it or not, they're being called jam adjacent. And I don't know if you saw just last week, who was it?
Sturgill Simpson.
Sturgill came out and he was kind of upset about it a little bit. He's like, it's like, you stuck up jam band kids, just sit there and listen to my song. But yeah, so I would say jam adjacency is like a very new term in the last 5 years. It's like, I would never have considered My Morning Jacket or Dawes or anybody like that to be a jam band, as much as I love and have seen both of those bands live. I didn't go there expecting them to, blow me away with improv or to, take a chance on a train wreck. I just went there to see songs and so.
It's interesting. I mean, you know, I'm a huge Dawes fan, but
Me too.
And I don't know, Rob, have you listened to them much?
Never heard a note, as far as I know.
Oh, dude, you should check them out.
He won't.
Okay, I'm gonna go check them out. I'll see you guys later.
Well, Taylor Goldsmith is you know, there's two brothers in that band. There's Griffin Goldsmith and Taylor Goldsmith, and Taylor is one of probably, I think, one of the most melodic instrumentalists, like guitar players, like on the scene right now.
Wow.
And I think that's a reason that that band is starting to get pushed in some of these festivals, because they do stretch and they do a really good job of stretching. But yeah, Rob, you should check them out. I think you would dig their music.
He's a great guitar player.
Yeah.
Cool.
But Rob, so for you, you know, with Dopapod and everything that you've kind of, you know, been doing throughout your career so far, like being in it for the past decade more, like what was your perspective on the inside of like touring and doing it night after night? And did you guys have more kind of calculated discussions about how you were going to be improvising, or did you kind of throw caution to the wind?
I mean, we were touring and playing long enough that the answer to that could be different depending on like the time period. I do like, and I don't even know if the question you asked me is the same question that you asked the other three guys, really, but I kind of agree with what everyone said. As somebody who is one of those bands that kind of came after like the Niche's first tenure or whatever you want to call it. Because I remember writing songs and like the term "four on the floor" was like it was advocated for extremely hard. Like it was like no, people need to dance, because at the time that we started, like dubstep was really popular and like all this electronic music, and I didn't really listen to any of that. But I was just happy to be in a band, so I was like, cool, whatever you guys think, I'll be here playing guitar.
That sounds about right.
And I, you know, so that four on the floor thing and like the dance kind of mentality was really, yeah, I agree that was like really, really in there. And, but as far as our improvisation, I think that whatever era we were in, we were stretching as far as we knew how to, but that distance that we could stretch got bigger and bigger as time went on. You know what I mean? So like in the early days, like when I listen to an early show now, which is kind of hard to do, which I'm happy about, by the way, because if I were too impressed by a show from like 15 years ago, that'd be bad. But but when I hear that, it doesn't sound very adventurous to me now. But at the time, that was probably about as far as our imaginations would kind of let it go. And then by the end, though, in the early days, we would kind of like discuss how we were going to segue into some song, and like we would even kind of compose some riff just that night to get from one song to the other. And we would write these really specific set lists, and if we deviated from them, I would almost be upset because I'd spent all this time working on it. And by the end, we would make a set list, but it would almost never look anything like what was on the page. And we didn't really talk about how we would get into one tune from another, because it seemed to be cooler, like better things would happen if we didn't talk about it. Like we would rather not have a segue happen at all than have a forced one.
Right.
You know? We kind of got to that point. And yeah, so it changed over time. I think we were always trying to stretch, but we got better at it and could do it more far-reaching as time went on. Okay. Yeah.
And then, so for the Niche, like, do you guys feel like that is kind of typical for how you felt throughout, you know, your guys' career so far? Is like, as you moved forward, it just got better because you guys got comfortable and learned each other's, you know, idioms and like where they were going. It's like you can hear where Jay's going, or Jay, if you start playing something, you know, Willie's like, oh, okay, I know where he's going to go, like before you even do it. did it start to happen for you guys where that was the MO every night?
No, are you talking about set list, or are you just
No,
talking
just like improvising on stage.
improvising?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Go ahead.
sorry, Will. It's just kind of a natural evolution, right? As you spend more time with people, whether it's music or any other kind of language, it's you just start to understand where someone's at it in a conversation, and you know you can choose to meet them there or counterpoint or whatever. But yeah, it was all time on task, you know. For me, it's just be with guy, and it doesn't even have to be stage time. It could be van time. It could be, you know, parties after the show. Like all of that is gonna influence it, you know.
And what did you guys do early in your career? And this, I could throw this to any of the three of you, Jay, Todd, or Willie. When you guys started playing in bars, talk to me about what your set list consisted of, because I don't know how much original music you guys immediately wrote. So you have to tell me that, how quickly that came about. But like, what would a typical set list look in the first, 6 months of you guys playing in bars?
Mostly original. I'd say,
okay.
Just about mostly original. I mean, when you're, before you've developed a fan base, you're playing new places and stuff, there's always a pressure to like, well, we should give them a little something they might know. So we throw in some covers, but we did always try to push our original stuff right off the bat. And, what was I going to say? Like, we were always big on the whole Fish and Grateful Dead mentality of just making a different show every night, changing the set list every night, never playing the same set list twice. So, and that's something we're starting to like revisit now, because I think, back then at our height, we would never plan set lists. We just go out blind, we might even segue into a song we weren't planning on, that kind of thing. Now that we're redoing it and like right now we're just trying to learn enough songs to, to play enough, to fill the show. So, we put a little bit more time into thinking out the set list and stuff. At least I know I did. I'm one of these guys who goes insane, like thinking about exact, like, all right, well, this one's medium tempo. This one's in the same key. This one could resolve into the next key of this song, and all this stupid stuff that like nobody even cares about in the crowd. But like, for a good example, though, the second night of our run, Woodstock, I had this whole idea in my head what I thought the venue was going to be like, Colony and Woodstock. I was like, here's a great idea for a vibe. And then we get in, and the vibe was like not even close to what I was envisioning. It was actually an amazing venue. It's a really cool historic building with this cool old architecture, but there's more like some table seating and stuff. I was like for some reason envisioning a big dance floor. So we're like, okay, maybe we need to play some more listening stuff, some stuff if people are sitting down at a table they can just listen to without dancing. So that night we did just improv, I think, the whole set list. We figured out our first song or two, and then from there just kind of wung it. And like Rob said, it's a lot of times the less you plan, the better, because you never know what it's going to be like till you're there and in front of people and see what the mood's like and the vibe's like. Mm-hmm. And the more you just go in and wing it, and it's more adventurous. And I think people can feel that you're being adventurous and going for it. So that's kind of the point we want to get back to.
Okay, cool. Did you guys early on, I feel like this is something that happened to a lot of people who are starting in jam bands in the early aughts, is like, did you feel the pressure to have to write through composed music to fit in or to get people's attention? Or were you more kind of like, no, we can do some of that, but let's like write catchy stuff? Like, what was the vibe and the idea and the mission statement?
I don't think we ever felt the need to try to write catchy stuff. We wrote a lot of uncatchy stuff. we wrote a lot of straight up offensive, I don't think it was ever like trying to catch people's. Well, I don't know. It's a tough question because obviously you want people to like your music. Like anyone who's just like, I only write for myself is probably bullshitting you. But you want people to like your music, but you also really want to like your music too. So I think we just tried to be adventurous, and we figured if we just stick to what we do and really see it through, then people will notice.
Mm-hmm. I find it interesting because there's some bands these days, like one of my new favorite bands. I didn't even hear about this band until September, but the band Danger Muffin.
Oh, I've known about them for a long, long time.
Oh, they're so great, man. They're so great. And this record right here, that's right behind me, whatever that is, right there, is their self-titled record that they put out in August of 2024. And it's an absolute masterpiece. Like from start to finish, it is a beautiful record. And they're lumped into the jam band scene, but like they don't subscribe to that because they don't consider themselves like top of their game, like improvisers.
Jam
like
adjacency.
Yeah, exactly, Jay. Yeah. So like that's like they're part of that, I guess, group, you could say. But for when you guys started writing music and you want to go into the studio to record this stuff, like talk to me a little bit about like, okay, so you're crafting these tunes, right? You're like writing a bunch of tunes. You want to put out a record. Like, what was the process for you guys? And Todd, you can take this one. For when you guys started writing and wanting to get into the studio, like what was that like for the niche early on?
Well, Willie's the primary songwriter. So, he would come to us with an idea and we would, kind of put, our own feel to it. And it would either be a yay or nay kind of thing. He'd be like, I like that. I don't like that. And when we went in the studio, we were like kids in a candy store. The first time we went in, I remember that we met the guys that were our engineers and, we said, you guys know where we said we want to bring in, silverware and like throw it around and make, a bunch of, crash. We want to just be kind of like adventurous and just take chances, But, as far as it went, like Willie was the main songwriter, like I said, and we just kind of went for his approval. We asked and said, do you like this? And we took it from there. He was the maestro. He was the one who led us,
Okay. And how many days did you guys spend in the studio when you guys put that first record out?
It wasn't a solid thing where we went in and we're like, okay, we're here for 3 weeks. It was in Rochester where we all were. It was like, all right, let's go this weekend and we'll put in a couple days here and there. It's hard to say exactly, but by the end of it, I think we were glad to be done.
So like piecemeal.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean the songs were totally written before we went in. It wasn't like we figured out what to do at the studio. I do wish we would have rehearsed a little more before going in. But the songs were fully written, and it wasn't like when you see like videos of bands like working it out. They're like, oh, I should play this over that or something. All the bells and whistles were that was more like that, where we're like, oh, let's. We brought in a bag of empty beer cans and dumped it on Jay's cymbals and recorded it, and that was not thought out beforehand.
It sounds exactly as you would expect.
That's so great, though. I mean, that you get all Blake Mills on it. Get experimental, man. Why not? So fast forward a bunch. Let's talk about getting Rob back in the mix to do this tour, and like talk a little bit about what was the catalyst for the like kind of end of the hiatus to start doing this, and like how did Rob fit in? And then maybe Rob, you can talk about your preparation for it.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was Dopapod had announced that they were going to be wrapping it up, and we were talking about how much we missed playing the songs, and it'd be fun to play, and it just sort of came together that way. But
You
It's
guys
like
had
how
all
you
been
joined, Jay.
Totally.
That's our thing. We wait for a good band to break up, and then we.
coach this cat and this cat. That's
Yeah.
great. Why not, man? I mean, I remember when that went down. I remember texting with you like the day you put that out there on social media, Rob. And I knew for a fact that you were going to be playing with a bunch of great people. So like, I'm sure it was really stressful for you to be like, oh shit, employment, like kind of thing. But like when that happened, and a lot has happened since then. I mean, you've been doing a lot of work, but how did you prepare for this? I mean, you've been friends with these guys for a long time and you knew this music, right?
Yeah.
But how did you prepare to kind of get back in that wheelhouse?
Well, as far as what you said, like about like, oh, I need work and like my career and oh no, what am I going to do? This was more just like a reward to myself.
Yeah, it's cool.
Like, you know, like I was like, fuck, I want to do that. Like Jay asked me and I was like, oh, that would be so much fun. Let me ask my wife.
Yeah.
You know, like it's really all I thought about, you know. I was just like, I think the most important thing to me, well, there's a lot of things that are important when I say yes to something, but like being with people that I love and people who I know love each other and have a good dynamic is like just super, super important to me. And like having history with people and not just like hopping in a van with somebody you don't know. People do that. I don't. I never have, and I don't want to start to really. And playing music that I would want to listen to is important to me, you know? And I've been listening to the niche for 20 years. So if ever there was like the definitive version of that, I mean, Dopapod was that too. Like we got pretty good at writing and playing what we would want to hear if we were listening and if we were just a music listener. And I didn't write any of the niche music, but I know I'm a fan of it. It's almost easier because I was a fan first. I don't have to like weirdly convince myself I like anything. I already know I like it. I've been listening to it for 20 years. So it had that's just everything I wanted, like friends and tunes that I love, you know. But as far as the preparation, you know, I have a little kid at home. He's like 2 years and 3 months now, but at the time he was even younger, and it's a lot to handle. So I started going over the songs like way, way sooner than any sane person would have done, because I knew that, you know, some people could probably, you know, say yes to something and like just start learning tunes like a week or two before and then be like, okay, I got them. Like if I didn't have a kid to look after, I might be able to pull that off. But I was just like, I don't know how much free time I'm going to have to learn tunes. So I'm just going to start now. And it would be like after he would go to bed, I would learn 1 or 2 or 3 tunes, whatever I could do until my vision started getting blurry, you know? But at the same time, I had to juggle because I had to learn the Neighbor catalog too. So, so just with all of that, to be honest, it was a lot of work, and it was fun. It's, you know, like learning music that I loved, but it was and having to make myself like stay up late or any spare minute I got where I'd be like, oh my God, Lucas is asleep. Get the guitar now, you know? And a lot of times I would learn a tune like in my kitchen while he was in the next room over, like watching a TV show, just so I could watch him and learn a song at the same time. But one thing that's just like interesting about learning this music, which I'd learned a lot of it back in like 2006 too, because I filled in at 1 or 2 times. So it was in there. So you know how it goes. You could learn something 20 years ago and it's still weirdly in there somewhere, you know? But the the interesting thing was that, I mean, it's a lot of songs and a lot of parts to songs and a lot of things that don't ever repeat the same way twice, but I didn't have to write a single thing down. I just in there, you know.
It's crazy.
Which is not a testament to my abilities at all. It's a testament for how much I love those songs and how good the songs are. That's what I'm saying. The point I'm making.
Sure, but I don't know many guitarists who are as hardworking as you. You know, so I feel like, because I, you know, even watching like the little clips that you guys posted on social media, like on Instagram and stuff, like there's a lot going on. Like even in the short clips I heard, and there's not many guitar players that can handle it like Rob can, and I'm sure you guys can speak to that. Like, you know, in fact, the fact that you're friends with Rob and you've known him for so long, you know, it's an obvious fit that he's sat in before and all that, but like, I'm sure you guys had no trepidation about it, right?
It was pretty clear that, you know, let's just say I wasn't too worried about, you know, we knew he was going to crush it. But like what you were saying, I mean, there's a lot of great guitar players, and it's not just about learning the parts, because, I mean, there's some tricky stuff, but technically, you know, a guitar player could learn the parts. But we have a lot of little just idiosyncrasies and like I don't know if that's the right word, or just jamming style. We have kind of a distinct jamming style and just some unique things that go beyond just playing the parts. And Rob also crushed all of that, like just all like the vibe and where, you know, how far we want to build up a jam, how far we want to take it before we decide, okay, maybe that's enough, or no, let's just keep going, let's push it even further. Or, you know, like segueing into another song or something. And that's the stuff that's harder to teach. You know, anyone can learn parts, but learning how like a band can just do their thing and be there. Like basically he already had the personality down of our music as well as just technically playing the parts.
And I think that's where being a fan a long time ago and hearing bootlegs like really made a huge difference. You know, like that was a big surprise to me. I didn't know what was going to happen when it came to the improvisational sections. I knew we were all good musicians and it was going to be good in some way, shape, or form, but just it feels very, very natural. Like Rob understands, like, you know, what we're all thinking somehow. It's kind of weird.
So tell me the first night on like the first gig. So tell me a little bit about how that felt. Was that emotional? Was it like just like pure excitement? Like what was going through your guys' minds that first night?
For me,
in front of people.
For me, is both of those things that you just said. A little bit of nerves until I'm actually sitting at my drum set and clicking the drumsticks 4 times to go into the first tune. Like I'm nervous. Definitely excited, definitely emotional. Like this music means so much to me, like on a personal level. Like I don't know, you hear bands talk all the time about how they don't want to hear their albums, they get sick of their shit, and like it's all just routine and it's just a job. But like this music I have such a deep emotional connection to it, and like there's something about improvising with your closest friends that, you know, you are in the same headspace, you're pulling down information from the same mysterious ether, and just like there's nothing like it in the world. So yeah.
Well, besides your amp blowing up, Todd, how did it go for you?
Well, I can tell you my cheeks still hurt from smiling because, you know, I'm on stage with these guys who I absolutely love and adore. And, you know, Rob, he's just absolutely amazing. We've seen him since he was young, you know, playing. We just knew he was going to be great. And I keep looking over as I'm playing and I see that he's there and he's looking at me, and it's back and forth. And it was really, really special. It was a really, really special thing for me, you know, and it just kind of grew from night to night to night, you know, on those three shows we played. And it was awesome. You know, it was great. You know, it was super emotional. And it was, you know, besides that amp blowing up, I mean, it could have been the smoke, you know,
inhaling that.
It could have been, But it
Venomous
was a lot,
vapors.
it was something else, you know. It was something else, and I'm really grateful and I'm really happy we did this, you know.
Is there anything in terms of like catalog and tunes that you guys left on the cutting floor for this like first kind of jaunt that you're like, okay, let's just concentrate on doing this first, so we don't want to like overload? Okay, like talk to me about like the process of choosing, and then also, you know, for Rob, like, you know, is there anything in particular you wanted to play that you're like, nah, not this time?
I could name it.
Yeah.
I know the first thing he's going to say.
There's a few. Yeah.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Willie, on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, let's start with the cutting room floor
first, because you asked two of us questions at once.
Willie, I know I'm a
first.
terrible host. Look at me. So, no, Willie, talk to me a little bit about like stuff that you left on the cutting room floor, and then we'll go to Rob.
Yeah, I mean, we learned more songs than we were able to play, and that's even with knowing that we want to switch it up every night. Make sure we put different songs that we didn't play the night before every night. But we still, I think we were like, oh man, our songs are long. Like, we thought we would be able to fit more in. So but I like that. I like that we didn't like, you know, show every trick in our bag. We still have like a bunch more songs that we had learned that we would rehearse. We didn't get a chance to play. There were some there's a lot of songs that we didn't play that we used to, and for different reasons. You know, we have a pretty wacky sense of humor, and times have changed, and we're like, are people still going to laugh at the things that they laughed at 20 years ago? And
right.
So,
yeah, does it hold up? Is it still okay?
Yeah, and stuff like that. But also, there's a lot of things. Like our original guitarist, Eric Ward, he had written a lot of songs as well, and we kind of made the decision, like, you know, maybe we shouldn't play those just out of respect or for whatever reason, just as another way to help us kind of whittle down what we actually are gonna play. So but yeah, I mean, I think we picked more than we needed, and then when we started rehearsing, it was easier to see which ones we were stronger on and which ones we would think would go over better and that kind of thing.
Okay. Well, let's kick it to you, Rob. So what tunes were you like, I really want to do this? And they're like, maybe not this time.
Well, basically any tune that they were like, we don't want to do that one, I was like,
okay.
You know? But the first one where I was like, well, partially because I learned it and it was really hard. So I was like, gotta do this. And they were like, nah.
Oh man.
It was the song called Karma. That was one of the first ones that I heard too. They played it. I remember them playing it at my college. And they also used to play that song. I never told you this. They used to play Karma like on like the school radio station, like in the cafeteria.
Really?
So I had actually heard that song before I knew who it was by. Like I heard Karma on the radio at MCC and was like, oh, like this is my shit. It sounds like Split Open and Melt in Tube like had a baby, you know? And then when you guys were like playing outside that day, you played that song and I was like, that's who that song is by, you know? So I did want to do that one, but we didn't get around to it. But I learned it, so when you're ready, I'm ready. And then there's this other one that Todd wrote that's really beautiful and like pretty and really short. It's called It's Alive. And I really want to do that next time. I think we didn't do it just because it's short. And we were like, well, we got to fill all this time. Like we should learn the tunes that are like long and that will take up good chunks of the set, you know?
Go ahead.
No, am I right? Is that it?
Yeah. No, I was just going to add on to something because it's funny how earlier in this interview we were talking about, or I was saying, you know, the new jam scene is all about the dance beat. Everything has to have a dance beat. And I think like some of the songs, like you said, It's Alive, some of the more sing songs, I was thinking, well, we need to keep the party going. People are going to be pumped up. But like,
Really, you gave in. You gave in.
I gave in to what I was talking about. But you know, and then I told you we played that show in Woodstock the other night where it was a little bit more of a mellow vibe, some more people seated in tables. And I'm like, oh, that would have been a perfect listening night to play all those pretty songs and, you know, some of the softer ones. And
one of those that would have been great that night is there's this one, Nothing Is New. That was I always had a thing when I was just like, you know, an 18-year-old kid at niche shows. Like, I loved all the songs, but a lot of my favorites were kind of the sleepers. Like, a lot of my favorite ones were these quiet little 3.5-minute songs. You know, that were just so beautiful, you know. And I do like we can't play them, but there's a lot of like Eric tunes that I'm gonna miss too, you know.
Same.
44 Nights, and you guys never played The Plan, but I loved that one too.
That's one of my faves. Yeah.
Oh, it's so great. What's the other one? I Have Seen It. Yeah, there are a lot of cool songs that, you know, I still listen to, but I know we can't play them or shouldn't play them. You know,
you never know. Maybe.
Yeah.
We don't know what's gonna happen. Maybe we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
Do you guys, in a room like Woodstock, when you were talking about, you know, seated audience and everything, is there a part of that environment that you like to lean into because it makes you play differently? Anybody can take this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is good to. I guess with that, it was just we weren't as prepared for that. Like I said, if we would have had rehearsed some more of the songs that were conducive to that, then I do like that atmosphere, because a lot of the songs I do kind of think are better to listen to than, you know. Here's the thing: I'm not a big dancer. I'm the guy at the back of the venue who's like quietly paying attention and listening to everything. And I think some songs, I don't know, like the songs that are more thought out, compositional and stuff, I'm like, do people miss that if they're up front dancing? And, you know, so it's like, I don't know. Yeah, I would like some of the songs to be better, like, listened to, if that makes sense. I said that right.
No, totally. I understand that. And it sounds like when I was saying the thing about, do you need to write a through composed thing or can you write a catchy tune? You know, mostly what I've recognized and what I've seen happen, and Danger Muffin is a good example of the jam adjacent thing, Jay, but like writing really beautiful songs, you know, that you could improvise, or you can just play 3 minutes. You can play a 3-minute song. That's a great song. That could be a banger, and you get in, you get out, and that's your respite, right? And I don't want those tunes for certain bands. When I hear that, I don't want those tunes to be bathroom tunes, because you're missing something so great and so special that somebody created something out of nothing and it can hit you that hard. There's a song on that Danger Muffin record called Iris. The first time I heard that record, I was washing dishes after dinner. And every fucking song, like the first 6 tunes, it's just like great song after great song after great song. And it's like catchy melodically. Their harmonic sense is beautiful. And I feel like that's kind of lost on some people in the jam scene. Like they feel like, oh, I gotta go get a beer now. I'm like, yeah, you can sit on the rail and listen to a great tune, man. You know? So I didn't know how you guys felt about that. If you felt like you had to keep people dancing, or if it was like, you know, we can bring it down a minute. So
that became an actual conversation on Saturday a little bit, where it's just like, hey, let's think about really paying attention to dynamic and bringing the beat back a little bit more pocket, a little bit less rushed, and really try to focus on doing what we think we do best, which is, we're pretty dynamic, and not everything is the same. I don't know. I never feel pressured to make people dance. Like if they do, fine, and I can help push that along. But I'm never gonna walk into a room and be like, oh shit, I really
like you and Todd are in charge of making people dance, essentially.
Me and Todd are just responsible for, listening to each other and making sure that that we serve that end of it first, and then whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. Well, you know what? This just popped into my head. So for each of you guys, and we can go down the line, but like, so let's start with Rob. What is your Fish bathroom break tune? If you're at a Fish show, like they're playing this song, like, oh, shit, I'm going to the bathroom.
Free.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I love Free.
I love the studio version, but
I do too.
the live version is kind of like, I know what it's gonna do, and so yeah, usually, and and it's a strategy too, because I know a lot of other people like it, that I know that that's a good time to go to the bathroom.
It's very true.
So if anything, I go to the bathroom then because it's a good song that I can take or leave.
Okay. All right. Willie?
Honestly, just anything post like Billy Breed's Farmhouse era. Just I'm old school. I like the early stuff, and I love that they're writing new stuff. It just doesn't hit me the same way the old stuff does. So yeah.
Okay. Todd?
I know people are probably going to be mad, but Prince Caspian.
Okay.
I'd probably pass up on that one. I mean, because by the time I'm done using the bathroom, I can still come back to hear the jam.
Yeah.
I can still do that.
Very true. All right, Jay.
I was thinking Caspian, and I think that a lot of that has to do with the time period that we were seeing a lot of shows, because that's not something that they play all the time anymore. But in '99, you would see people groaning and looking at the sky when Caspian would be played. and I feel the same way about Character Zero, because it's an amazing, great tune. But they play, it was like, oh shit, this is the first set closer. And this is your time. It's like, all right, this is first set closer. After this, they're done. I better hit it now. So, it's a great tune, but sometimes you just got to know what's about to happen. You got to foresee, where you are in the night, type of thing.
Yeah.
A question I'm always interested to ask Fish fans is, what are tunes that should be a piss break tune, but that you're not going anywhere when they play it? Like you're like, oh my God, this is like
I used to say Bug until Jay gave me this newfound love for it. I would have said Bug, and then now I'm like, all right,
it's a great tune.
I want to stay for it.
Yeah, it's funny. Like Bouncing Around the Room used to notoriously be this like bathroom break song, and now I mean I hear it and I love it. And I don't know if that's just nostalgia. It's just like it's almost like when you hear like a crappy '90s pop song, and because it's been so long, you're like, oh, Backstreet Boys, I Want It That Way. Actually, that was actually a pretty good song.
Great song.
It was a great song. It was a great song. I mean, the whole bathroom break thing is so funny too, because I mean, Pearl Jam is one of my favorite bands, period, ever. And I have the biggest beef with that friggin' band, because they try to like toe this line of like wanting to be like Grateful Dead-esque with their set lists every night. But those dudes, the last 3 songs of every friggin' show are Alive, probably Rockin' in the Free World, or Yellow Ledbetter. And I'm like, come on, man. Like I will leave. I will leave a show early because I'm like, oh, here comes Alive, and it's gonna come right after this. And I never, right. I never had to do that with the Fish show though. I never felt like, I felt like if I was gonna leave, they'd do something amazing. Like they play It's Ice, and that's like my white whale. I've never seen them play It's Ice. So it's like that kind of thing. But as a musician on the stage for you guys, I think what's fun too with like bringing this music back to life is like being able to like architecturally put together that music again, like put those Lego pieces together on stage. And that's got to feel super, super satisfying for y'all.
It's been incredible. I mean, you can't even put words on it, to be honest. It's just a feeling.
Yeah. So what's next? Like what's happening now?
The end of this month, we are playing Folk Fest at Sterling Stage, which we go way back with Sterling Stage. This is their 30th year. So 95, they got started. We started playing there in 2001. And, at that time, it was already this like legendary old school festival because it was like 5 years old. But here they are, here we are. So 2001, 3, 5, and 6, we played there for sure. So we're excited to go back. So that's Saturday, the 24th. We're headlining the main stage on Saturday night. Late night set. We will probably get a little weird. And, at least, but we'll have to judge. It's that conversation from earlier. We don't know until we get there. So
Yeah, that's
we're
so
kind
great.
of weird dudes,
Hey, man, it's better to be weird.
We got some other things cooking that nothing's solidified contractually yet, but yeah, Folk Fest right now is our big focus.
Well, for crying out loud, play some of those songs that Rob learned.
Maybe not as Sterling because we don't have time to rehearse before. So.
Oh, there you go. Well, so usually Willie and Todd, I do this thing that's called the lightning round get down where I ask rapid fire questions. But since these two dudes have already done it, I'm going to ask you guys each 2 specific questions. And I don't know, Rob, if you've done one of these. I don't think you've done both of these, Jay, too. But we're going to go around a circle. If you're on death row, what is your final meal? Jay, go.
Oh, my Lord. Steak, mid-rare.
That's it?
That's it.
No sides?
Mhm.
I mean,
No baked potato? No?
I'm about to die. I don't really care about food anyways. I don't know if I'm going to have much of an appetite. It's just like,
Put on
who
those
cares?
carbs. All right, Todd, what about you?
Death row meal. My wonderful girlfriend, Andrea's chicken parmesan.
Oh, that is good.
There we go. Willie?
I'm gonna say just spaghetti and meatballs, some bread, olive oil, a nice red wine. I tell this to my girlfriend all the time. I could eat Italian every single night and never get bored. And I'm Irish, so I don't know where that comes
Weird.
from.
It's all the bland food that you must have grown up on, man. Boiling everything. Trust me, my family did it too. Rob?
Dino chicken nuggets. No,
Nice.
Really?
no, probably like penne alla vodka or something.
Okay.
I would go Italian for sure.
Okay. And then this will probably be, I think, Rob, Jay, both of you guys have done this one, but Todd, if you could take one album and erase it from your memory, just so you can go back and experience it for the first time again, what album would that be?
Rift. It's just
Okay.
Rift.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Oh God, this is tough. I want to say Wien, Quebec.
Ooh.
That's a
I
good one.
almost said white pepper.
That's a good one too.
That's a good one. Rob and Jay, do you have a second one from the last time you were hanging out with me?
I'm going to show my hipster side here, but God's favorite customer, Father John Misty.
Oh, okay.
So good.
All right. Rob?
I don't know what I said last time, but I would say maybe the self-titled Fleet Foxes album.
You didn't say that for sure. I know
I
that.
did not.
No, you might have said Dark Side.
I might have what?
You might have said Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah, I could have been. But anyways, yeah, that's that self-titled Fleet Foxes one. I remember where I was and what I was doing. I was on the train in Boston. It was raining. I listened to the entire thing, and then as soon as it was done, I listened to the entire thing again.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Also tangentially related to Father John Misty because he drummed on that album. So.
Oh,
correct.
Yeah. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, anybody that is listening on Apple or Spotify as well, if you get a chance to see the Niche out on the road, keep your eyes peeled. Sounds like there's some sneaky stuff happening behind the curtains there with the Wizard of Oz. Anything else to promote, guys? Any other? Jay's company obviously making great compressor pedals. If you don't know about that, you should definitely check that out as well. Anybody else have a shoe company or anything we should know about? Clothing brands?
I wish.
Pasta sauce.
I wish.
I should probably get a side hustle. I
think you're going to be plenty busy, my friend.
Yeah.
So, and for everybody else, At Home with Mark t-shirts now available. Pre-order ends this Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So hit your boy up. Let me know. Fellas, thank you so much. I hope you guys make it down closer to Baltimore. And that if you do, we'll have to do another Gear Gab, Rob.
Oh, that'd be
And
awesome.
Todd, and hopefully Todd's amp doesn't blow up so we can talk about his amp.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, everything. But thank you guys so much for hanging out. Appreciate you. You can hold on 1 second. Everybody else, take care of yourself. Take care of each other. We'll see you next time.